Oh, it's a little breezy, people. A little breezy. You know, I don't know where my microphone is, if it's on the camera or if it's on my thing here. But hey, welcome to Florida, everybody. Facebook family, welcome to Florida. Hey, check this out. There's this long dock behind me, but wait for it. Bam! Look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's like, I guess that's the Intracoastal, something like that. Anyways, I'm here amid all this nature. It's beautiful, but it's got me thinking about this Greta, the 16-year-old girl on the cover of Time magazine. And I was thinking about this the other day. I haven't made any comments recently, and I figure I probably should, because I have this strong opinion that when, her real famous quote, right, is, "You stole my childhood." I just got to thinking, you're like, no, you know what? You know who stole your childhood? Were the liberal progressives and the media that you watched as a child, and probably the parents you were raised with, or the teachers that raised you, that convinced a child that your job in life is to be a social justice warrior, and that you're supposed to take on these giant plights that the world has, like world hunger and climate change, and you're not allowed to be a kid, but no, you need to be weaponized and turned into the next social justice warrior. And in my opinion, I really think it's linked to the rise in depression and anxiety and stress that so many young people are feeling these days, because they're not allowed to be kids anymore. They get turned into tiny activists that think that there's no hope and that the world's collapsing around them. And, if I was raised, and I grew up with Earth Day and, the turtles. Back then it wasn't straws, it was the plastic rings on Coke cans that, turtles were getting stuck in. What's going on with turtles? Turtles, get it together, okay? You're getting stuck in all sorts of stuff and straws up your nose. Maybe it's not us. Maybe it's the turtles, people. That's all I'm saying. Not really. But, but why are children being weaponized into becoming the voice of truth and reason to older generations? Why are we robbing children of just being children? And you know what? If you really think that there's something that needs to change, you go out and fix it. But stop telling 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds the world's going to end in 12 years. Or worse yet, 16, 17, 18-year-olds in high school who haven't even started living yet. Some of them never even driven a car, and you're telling them the world's going to end because of global warming. And what they don't know is they're too young to know this has been going on since I was a kid. Al Gore was saying the same thing. And before me, they were saying, oh, there's not going to be enough food to feed everybody. And then technology happens and things innovate. But why are we making children? Why are we robbing them of being children and feeding them hope and despair and fear? And then we scratch our heads and we wonder why. I wonder why all these kids are depressed. I wonder why all these kids keep killing themselves. I wonder why anxiety is going through the roof. Well, because you've basically put them in a constant state of shock and fear since the time they were 5 or 6 years old. So anyways, those are my comments for today, as I'm surrounded by all of this. Is that, who robbed you of your childhood? The liberal progressive agenda. That's who robbed you of your childhood. They didn't allow you to be a child. They didn't allow you just to enjoy life. They convinced you that the world is burning and warming, and that, conservatives are ruining everything, and socialism is the way to be, and capitalism is oppressing people. They just brainwash kids. And then the brainwashing, we don't link the two together, but I think we probably should start linking them, that depression and anxiety, because you know what you're doing? You're sowing hopelessness. It seems hopeless, right? You remember when Obama said, well, how's Trump going to get all these jobs? He's just going to wave a magic wand? It's like, no, it's common sense economic policy. That's what's going to get jobs. And look at where we are now. 3 years in, unemployment is an all-time low. And, you want a job, you throw a stone, go get a job. So it's stuff like that where it's like they just sow hopelessness into people. And if they can keep you hopeless, then they're going to keep you from moving forward and trying to take action. And if you think about it, the Bible actually teaches the opposite. The Bible tells us in Hebrews that faith is the substance of things hoped for. And in order to have things in life, you have to have faith, where it says, in order, make this mountain move. If you just have the seed of a mustard seed of faith, that mountain's going to move. And so the principle is, if you kind of make it into an equation, faith is a substance of things hoped for. So if you have hope, then you have faith. And if you have faith, you have the ability to believe for a new possibility. And so what I'm trying to say to you is that what the Democrats are actually doing, progressives are actually doing, is they sow hopelessness. And so what do you reap? Fear. And when you reap fear, you reap inactivity. Okay? And then you're in two different mindsets. Now you have a mindset of, I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for the choices I make. Versus in the fear hopelessness model, you're the victim. You're the perpetual victim. You're the victim of circumstance. You're the victim of people. You're the victim of oppression. You're the victim of, racism, everything. It's not that those things don't exist, because we would admit that in some places they still do. But for us not to step back and say, do you know what? If ever there was a time to be alive, now's the time to be alive. If ever there was an economy to start a new business or to do something new or change a job or innovate a career or create a product, now is the time to do it. And is there racism out there? Of course there's racism. But do you know what? This is the time to be alive. I'd rather be alive now than 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and be a minority. Right now is a good time to be alive. If you're a woman and you want to work, this is the time to be alive. I mean, 20 years ago, there was even more of a glass ceiling than there is today. So I don't understand why Democrats or progressives can't just stop and be thankful and say, you know what, it's not perfect. Nobody's saying it's perfect. But what I'm trying to say is that it's better than it's ever been. This is the best country you could live in the United States. You've won the lottery. If you're the poorest person in America, you're still more wealthy than a majority of the world. So it's everything is about perspective, and everything is about, honestly, at the end of the day, are you going to be a victim of circumstance, of medical condition? I know a guy, I used to be an operations manager at a software company, and we provided software that would help people work from home and, help small to medium-sized businesses market online. I kid you not. He was a paraplegic. He sat at home, made phone calls, sold business, and was generating anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a month. Kid you not. So this is what I'm trying to say to you. If you got a medical condition, if you are a victim of, racism, or your parents raised you bad, mistreated you, heck, you may not have had a dad or a mom. It's all in how you frame it. What are you going to do with the cards that life gives you? It's like poker. You get a certain set of cards, but are you going to trade them out for new ones? Because that's up to you. Or are you just going to hold on to the junky cards you have and just say, oh, me, poor me? So I've talked about a lot on this broadcast. And to summarize, if you missed the beginning part, we talked about how the mindset of victimology is leading to things like depression and anxiety in our young people, because we're weaponizing them as kids to become social justice warriors. And so if you raise them in this, everything's happening to you, you're a victim of the earth, you're a victim of capitalism, you're a victim of, corporate policies, all of it, then you're never going to do anything, because it's hopeless and you feel fearful and you feel anxiety, versus feeling hope, like things can change, the possibility of change, and then you have the faith to believe for something new. You have the faith to innovate a new solution to a problem that maybe nobody has ever thought of before. Anyways, I could go on and on, but check out the beautiful view. Isn't this nice? It's nice and cool out today in South Florida. Got a little fleece on here. But if this resonates with you, please like and share. Tag somebody who needs to hear it. And if you're struggling with feeling like the victim, right? If you're struggling with the idea of things keep happening to me, or, I just want to release you from it. I want to pray over you, and I want to release you from that. And so, Father, in the name of Jesus right now, I want to wipe clean the minds that have been listening to and are tuned into the victim spirit, because the victim spirit, if you don't take responsibility for who you are and for the choices you're making and the lifestyle you're living, then you will never have the ability to change it. And things can happen to you, but you are not defined by those things and those circumstances. You get to write your story. You get to write the narrative. All right? So partner with God and hear what he wants to speak over your life. Hear what he's saying to you of your gifts, your talents, your abilities, and he will provide a path forward for you to get out of whatever situation you're in. But you are not a victim. The Bible says you are an overcomer. The Bible says you are the head and not the tail. So don't listen to a lying spirit that's telling you you're the victim and this is how life is always going to be, because that's not true. And God can do anything. What does it say? That God can do exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ever ask or imagine. So stop imagining what's wrong with your life and start partnering with God as speaking over you. So I release it over you guys now. Have a great day. Bye.